Welcome to all our audience members. Thank you for jumping on. Today is the second official series of the Blunders and Breakthrough podcast, and we're going to do a product powwow with Janu. You might have seen Janu's product launch video that went viral. It got more than 50,000 views, 200 likes, and almost 100 reposts, and it went crazy. So I wanted to sit down and chat with you, Janu, because you know how to, tell a story, attract the audience, and also build killer products. That checked all the boxes in my list. So I'm very to have
Uh-huh.
you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's start with how's your week going? Was there any blunder or any breakthrough that you had?
I think this week wasn't very special, but the last weeks in general were like very, I had a breakthrough. I think
Yeah.
the biggest breakthrough was the launch, not the launch itself, but the post-launch stuff that happened. And I think the biggest breakthrough for me was to understand that authentic content works way much better than like the stuff I did before, because I was like very educative. It was like very much education. It wasn't much about myself. I didn't show that much about myself. And that changed like completely the last weeks. I'm just posting stuff about what happened in my life, what I'm doing, and people seem to love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, the best way to attract an audience is to stay vulnerable and stay authentic. And I think that's what you did. And even if there
Mhm.
were ups and downs, you took it like a champ and you rolled with it, which is very inspiring for the rest of us to see. But I want to get to that story. I want to get into the details of it. But before that,
Mhm.
let's take a step back and tell us about your journey and what got you here. I know you started off in software development, if I'm not wrong,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
moved to product. What pivoted or what caused you to make that pivot? Was there something exciting about product that you weren't getting in software? What's your story there?
I think it began like when I started with coding. Like I started in very young age. I think it was 10 or 11. It was a hobby, and I built products without knowing they are products. Like I built like computer games and products for companies or for myself, and it was more of a hobby. And I thought, okay, so I should be probably a coder, and I should get in computer science and do software development the classic traditional way. And I did. I studied computer science in Germany on like the best tech university in Germany, and I hated it. Like I also worked as a software developer, and it wasn't that what I was looking for, because I think the most fun part of building products for me was like the creative part, like the not the technical part. Yeah, I love coding, but I worked for companies and for startups, and it was like very much you get your ticket and code this, do this, optimize this. And I sat there and did that things. It was fun like for maybe a week, and then it got very boring and very repetitive. And I wanted to decide about the product, and I want to know why we are coding this and not just how.
Got it. You got to the strategic part of it. You were in the trenches and you wanted to understand how are the decisions made or which feature needs to be built. You wanted to be at the decision making seat for that, correct?
Exactly. Exactly. Because I coded stuff and I didn't understand why. I even thought some decisions were bad, and I hadn't any chance to discuss it with the product owners or the product manager I worked with. So yeah, that was basically it.
Got it.
And another
Okay.
step, a crucial thing was I was freelancing when I was a student as a software developer for like startups and for companies, and glided in some kind of product consulting roles. Like people asked me, hey, what do you think about this idea? And there was a lady I was working with who had like an autism children care center, and I built something for her, and she was like constantly asking about, because she wasn't a product person, she was like a healthcare person, but she had no idea about products. So she hired me as a product consultant, and that kicked off the whole product thing. Basically, that was like the starting point.
Got it. Okay. So you almost accidentally stumbled into it
Yeah, I
through your
didn't know about the
consulting.
word product. Like exactly, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So for those of us who don't know, from what you said, it sounds like product is, you take the strategic route, you decide what features need to be built, etc. What else is part of being in the product industry? What does your day-to-day look like, and what are the decisions that you
Hmm.
make on a constant basis?
Hmm. I work in my day job as a product manager in an analytics company. We have an analytics product, and a very important part of my role is like QA because shit happens, things didn't work out, and the tech people, like the developers, even the CTO, they can maybe see errors, but they don't get the context. They are not deep into what this data should display. If a client comes to us and asks us why is it's an analytics product, so they ask us why these metrics didn't match up or don't match up, and the people would be, I don't know, I have no idea about analytics. So we are like the bridge between them and the clients.
Got it. Okay. So it's a lot of understanding what the client wants and then translating it to the tech team so they can build it, and almost like converting code into business language, kind of, right?
Exactly. And also the other way around. Sometimes we have to explain the stuff our tech team explains to us to the client or to some other stakeholder. So I'm constantly talking with everyone in the company, the support team, the integration team, the developers, the CTO, CEO, CPO, and I'm
Hmm.
running between the people and explaining and translating and all that stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That's very exciting. So wait, you said day job, but I also know you run
Mhm.
an agency. So wait, am I understanding that you do a 9 to 5, you also have an
Mhm.
agency, and now you're also
Mhm.
launching a product of your own? So you have 3 projects going on.
Exactly. Yeah. Three categories. Exactly. Yeah. Um, it began.
That's awesome.
It just happened when I was a student. I had my student job and I freelanced on the
Uh-huh.
side, and that was manageable. It was also on the edge. But then when I transitioned to my day job, I also transitioned my freelancing to an agency. So it happened like in 1 month, everything. The
Mm,
first month was like it was hard. Like the first month was very overwhelming. But after a few months,
yeah.
I somehow got to manage it. Yeah.
How do you manage your time? Because that's a lot of stuff that you have on your plate.
I'm like time blocking. When I work on my day job stuff, I'm only doing that. I won't answer any mails. Won't accept calls. I have like my calendar link. It's all my 9 to 5 stuff is like blocked out. You can't reach me at that time. And I also work on weekends. You have to if you run an agency and have a day job. And yeah, I even block out time for my private stuff. If a friend want to meet me, we need to block it in the calendar. It's not sexy, but it's the only way to work. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, we'll have to do unsexy things if we want to build the life we want, right? So that's part of the process.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. But now that you work as a full-time employee and
Hmm.
you work as an entrepreneur in the same
Hmm.
industry, product industry,
Hmm.
are there
Hmm.
similarities between the two roles, and are there differences between the two roles?
I think the biggest similarity is like in all my roles, communication has like a very important role. If you don't get your communication right, nothing will work. In my agency, I have like my designers and my developers and the client, and the communication has to be very smooth, especially because I have not that much time. So everything I do has a very big impact on the whole project. And another thing is you mentioned it's all product in my day job and in my entrepreneurial life. And the thing which I always
Mhm.
have to do is like set up requirements, like analyze requirements. What's the thing people want? What does my client want in my agency Featherflow, and in my day job it's like what do internal stakeholders want or like external stakeholders want. It's like always about understanding what people need and want and asking for and translating it to tech.
Got it. Okay, so that's like they're in the internal company, it's always like you're working with other teams and they become your quote unquote customers of sort. Whereas when in your agency, you have external stakeholders who are paying you money and like having that relationship with you, correct?
Exactly. Like in my day-to-day job as a product manager, I don't have that much contact to clients because we have a support team and integration team. So they are the layer between me and the clients. And I have like almost daily meetings with the support team or the integration team, and they are better in explaining the client thing because it's all they do. They're only in contact with the clients every day, every hour. So yeah, that's the difference. And in my agency, I am almost the only person who has contact with the clients.
Mm, got it. So do you find that when you are working in your agency, when you're in direct contact with your clients, the feedback loop quality is different because you are directly hearing from the people you're selling to versus when as a 9 to 5 employee, you're hearing it from someone else? Is there a change in quality or it doesn't really matter?
It's a whole another case, right? Because that's a big company and our clients are like enterprise clients, airlines, and companies like those. And in my agency, those are startups, sometimes even one-person startups who are my clients. And so there's no other way than having a very close relationship to the people you are building stuff for. And I don't know if it's healthy or good, but they can reach me like on WhatsApp. They have my phone number. They can call me, writing me SMS. Sometimes they write me a message at 1 a.m. I probably won't be awake, but the first thing in the morning, I will check and answer them. That's not something I have to do in my day job because I'm protected by the company and the people around me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so because they have direct contact with you, your relationship with them is also stronger and more.
Yeah, and it's very important in that case because we are building a product from zero, right? Like it's a whole new product. We are building the MVP. We are an MVP agency. So we're building the base for the future startup that they are wishing for. So it's very important to understand what he's looking for. You have to get everything. You have to be in his brain. And that's very important.
Right. That makes sense. Is that what led you to build Boilerplate Hub? Were you seeing recurring problems or recurring issues that you wanted to solve? Or like what led you to build?
I would love to say yes, it would be a very nice entrepreneurial story, but I think it was a fun side project. I even built when I was a student. I spent a lot of times on X, and I saw a lot of boilerplates, and I like the concept and the idea behind boilerplates because I'm fully for like shipping fast, and I love the whole romance behind companies who are building stuff and do everything, and boilerplates are like perfect for it. You may not need to buy a boilerplate, but as a technical solo founder, you should have your own boilerplate somewhere. And I like the idea, and I saw like there were so many boilerplates for so many use cases and tech stacks. I didn't find a good directory which is organizing them. So that was the whole idea behind it. And I even built it and never published it. It was like on my computer for like 6 months before I posted it on Twitter. And for some reason, it blew up a little bit, and people were messaging me, "Hey, put that live, work on it. I would love to use it." So that's the reason why I continued building
Got
on
it.
it. Yeah.
What was your first feeling when it blew up? And how did you know that, okay, this is enough momentum for me to actually launch it as a product and not a side project? Like, what made that switch go off in your head?
It wasn't like one moment. Like the blew up was a mini blew up. I hadn't that many followers, and it got like 50, 60 likes, and people were talking about it. And I checked the analytics, and
Hmm.
it was like just there was like attention on it. And the thing I did is I launched it on different platforms. I launched it on I think first on micro launch, and then on Dev
Okay.
Hunt, and especially on Dev Hunt because Dev Hunt has a very nice community of developers behind it. John Rush, who is running it, does some awesome work because the quality of traffic was like very high. Like we had a lot of sales
Yeah.
that week. I was launching on Dev Hunt, and that motivated me. People were using it and were interested in it, and even people revisited it. I know about some people who
Mm.
go on Boilerplate Hub like once a week, twice a week, and just browsing. And that was enough for me to continue working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a nice feeling when people like are using your product, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. I love it. Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, so you first did it on, a couple more websites, and then you decided to launch on Product Hunt, correct? And
Yeah,
how
exactly.
did that shift go? Got it.
From
Okay. How was the process?
the process of what?
Like, for example, you'd already done a couple launches, and then you decided, okay, I'll go launch it on Product Hunt. And what was your whole creative process behind that? Did you start engaging on Product Hunt first and like checking out the community, or were you like, okay, like I want to launch on such and such date, or was it more so like, okay, I'm just going to do it because I've done it twice? Was there a plan that you put together? Because it looks like it was very well executed, which is why I ask.
It was not that much strategic thinking behind like you think. It's very simple. I
Okay.
launched on micro launch, which is pretty new. It is a smaller platform, and then I went to the next bigger thing. It was Dev Hunt, and the logical next step was like launching on Product Hunt because it's like the biggest launching platform for technical products. And I did all the
Mm-hmm.
classic stuff. Started like 40 days before the launch with engaging on the platform. I was very active in the forum, asked questions, answered questions,
Yep.
and connected with
Mm-hmm.
people who are very active on the platform. Yeah, like the usual things.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. And how did you come up with that video? Like, what was the creative process behind that?
It was very spontaneous. I knew I want to do a funny video. It was important for me because I love like doing like just funny stuff. And I had
Yeah.
a lot of stuff to do in the launch week. I was also on vacation 2 weeks before. The 2 weeks before the launch, I was on
Oh,
vacation, and I had not much time.
yeah.
And the whole video happened in the night before the launch. I recorded it the night before. I even edited it
Oh,
until 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning, and scheduled the tweet. Slept maybe three hours and wake up to check if people are reacting on the video. Yeah.
that is very cool. So it was a very spontaneous thing, and you're like, okay, let's just do it. And it was something that blew out.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I knew I wanted to play with the boilerplate and shovel thing because people are saying boilerplates are shovels, and people who sell boilerplates are like shovel sellers, like in the gold rush, you know. And it was like it isn't like that genius idea to go to the hardware store and to do a video with like shovels. Yeah,
Yeah, but that takes a lot of courage, right? To go into like a public space and like record and like have your friend or your
yeah,
family member go like, hold a camera for me while I do this. And yeah,
yeah. I went with my girlfriend and she had to record me, and I had like this stupid hat, right? You maybe remember I wore like a hat, and she was so embarrassed I wasn't allowed to wear the hat until the video. I started wearing it like in the car and before, and she, please put that off. It looks so stupid, but I had to do it. And when we were in the store, I was the chicken, and I was like, no, people are looking. Let's wait like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then no one was there, and we just shot the video. Yeah,
just did it. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
I totally understand that because there was a time back in the day when I used to like shoot videos because I was into a little bit of content creation, and
Hmm.
when it was a public shoot, I would like work up my confidence. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll go work. Like I'll go do it in front of 50 people. And then I'd go and I'd be like, oh my God, people are looking at me. Now what do I do? So that there's that 2 seconds where you're like, oh shit, was this a bad idea, right?
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you are
It
holding the
wasn't,
shovel in
yeah.
the hand and there's like a head in your head. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I'm like, am I doing a stupid thing? Should I give up? Should I like just run away before people see me?
Yeah.
But then you always pull and do it, right?
Yeah, you have to, yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I love that story. And also like I know after that launch and getting all that validation, unfortunately, like you did not get featured but you got a lot of community support. Like, how did that
Mhm.
help? And first of all, how did that feel? And second of all, what did you get out of that launch ultimately?
I think a lot of things. I think the video itself got a lot of attention, and the video itself got us traffic, like not like product hunt number one's traffic, but a lot of traffic. And then I knew before there's a chance Boilerplate Hub may won't be featured because they are not the biggest fan of directories. That's something people told me before, but I didn't find any hard rules about it. And that's why I launched. And when we were not featured, I was a little bit disappointed, but not like sad. And then I just talked about it in public. I say, oh, okay, didn't work out, but I'm very happy about the support. It was very heartwarming to see like a lot of people supporting me, even writing me private messages about how they liked the launch. Even the product hunt
Yeah,
account itself commented it.
I
They
saw that.
commented also other stuff of mine. They were like fully into my whole marketing and they saw everything and they were part of it. It was a little bit confusing because they didn't feature me, but they were like very hyped about my launch on Twitter. But I still appreciated the support. Then I wrote the open letter to Product Hunt a few days later just to do like
Uh-huh.
some remarks, some suggestions what they could do better because I'm not mad about they not feature some products because they can't feature everyone, right? It would be very messy on the page. A lot of shitty
Yeah.
products are launching and they have to like do some kind of quality
Mm-hmm.
control. But but if you schedule your launch
That's
like
true.
4 weeks prior, you have like enough time to tell me, hey, we won't feature you. And there would be like no bad blood. I would know, okay, I won't put a lot of effort in my marketing. I won't put a lot of, even some companies invest like money in the launch, right? And it would be very nice to know
Yes.
before I invest all that. And that's why I criticized in public. And the CEO of Product Hunt even commented, was thankful for this feedback.
That's awesome.
It also helped like with attention on the whole drama, the whole launch. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I feel like the feature sure would have gotten you a badge that you could put on your website, but this story is so much better because you had a
Mhm.
community that came together, you had people supporting
Mhm.
you got a chance to tell your story, and the story got
Mhm.
noticed by the team, like the product hunt team,
Mhm.
and for the CEO to personally come like read your suggestions. I feel like that's such a powerful story in and of itself. And social media is making all that magic happen. That's exciting.
True, true. And like I think the biggest win for me was like how it changed my perception on how to use social media. Because before that video, a lot of people commented, "Wow, I didn't know you are silly," or they took me as a very serious person because I was putting like informations about product management and entrepreneurship and software, and didn't tell much about myself. Maybe like there are like a bunch of very personal tweets about me, but not like on a daily or very a weekly base, right? And I never showed like I was not the person who posted memes. Even I'm the person in like my private life.
Right.
So there were like a Janu out there who's very different to the Janu people know me like in DM groups and like in my real life, right? So this showed me
Yeah,
that I can show my real self to the public, and it's way more fun on social media since then. Yeah.
that's true. Like I can see what it does when you show your personality online, but I also
Mhm.
know that it's a little hard to almost break out of that shell, right? Like that's something I'm personally struggling with right now. Sure, I post videos but most of them are to do with work. I'm like, oh, I did this. I ran this growth experiment. It didn't work or it worked. And these are my learnings. There's not a lot about my personality. I don't necessarily
Mhm.
have to share my personal life to show my
Mhm.
personality. So, like, to
Mhm.
be
True.
able to find a unique way to show my personality without divulging details of my personal life that need not be on the internet is a
Mhm.
powerful place to be. And figuring out how to do that really adds to your brand almost.
Totally. I agree with you. And even if you are sharing stuff like, I don't know, business experiments or stuff you try, it's it's
Mhm.
starting to learn to talk about it in a storytelling way, right? To tell a story and not just the blatant facts and the numbers, because the story is like way more
Yeah.
interesting for people, and it's more fun to talk about it when you are putting.
That is true. That is true. Well, that's amazing. So after having garnered all this, experience and knowledge and exciting milestones, what's next for you? What are you planning next?
There are like two big things I'm planning for like the next 6, 7 months. The one thing is to leave
Mhm,
my 9 to 5 at some point, because I don't think I can do the
mhm.
workload I'm doing right now for the next 2 years. It would burn out, and it's too much at certain moments. And I want to focus more on a
Okay.
few things. And the other thing I'm planning right now, I'm building a new product, and we already built the MVP of the MVP. And now I will be in Lisbon next week. I'm looking forward to meet other makers, other solo entrepreneurs, little startups. A few people messaged me and asked me if we can meet up. So I'm looking very forward to meet them, because in my personal life, I don't have a lot of makers. All the makers I know from Twitter
Yeah.
and social media. And Germany is not the hotspot of indie makers. Like it's not a big thing here in Germany, but in Portugal it's a very huge thing. So I'm happy to meet them and to build my product. I
Mhm.
also will finish my MVP in the 7-day vacation I would have. Yeah.
That's very exciting. You have a lot of exciting things to look forward to. I love how you're able to figure out or understand that, oh, I can't keep this up for more than XYZ time period, otherwise I'll burn out. I feel a lot of us don't take those warning signals, and we just keep working and working and working until your body goes like, okay, you need to take. You're already recognizing that and deciding to say, okay, I might want to leave my 9 to 5. And I'm very excited about your new product. I'm not going to push you for details. I know that you guys have plans for announcements, but thank you for sharing that. Is this a specific industry within the makers that you are targeting, or is it anyone who runs a solo business that can use your product?
It will target the content space. It will be a content product to create
Okay,
content. Yeah. That's all I can say. Yeah.
got it. Okay, so any solo makers out there who are looking for, content marketing solutions, keep in mind Jan was coming out with something in the next couple of weeks or months. So stay tuned to
Yeah.
his X profile.
Yeah, please.
Awesome. Great. I did have a question though. You said Germany is not like a hotbed for makers. Which country is?
Mhm.
I feel like France is, but am I correct in assuming that a lot of makers are in France, or are there other places as well?
I think the ethnicity of makers in Europe is France number one. Like the French makers are like the best. There are many of them, and they're very talented, and they are fully into it, and they have like own communities, and they all know each other. That's not a big thing in Germany for some reason. But I think the hot
Yeah.
spot where they live is Portugal. I think in Portugal and Europe are like the most makers. Even a lot
Ah,
of French makers are in Portugal.
okay, very interesting. Because I guessed French because the previous company that I was trying to build was in the content space, and specifically LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
every tool, every company that I was looking at, every competitor was from France, Paris. And I'm like, what is in the French water? Why are
Uh,
all the makers coming from France?
about all the French people who are making like content products, and like I think the biggest name is like Thibaut on Twitter. He's like a very
Yeah.
big maker, and I can't pronounce his name, but there's another French guy who's also very big, and they also all know each other, right? They are a very good
Yeah.
network of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, is there a secret meeting that happens somewhere in Paris in France that everyone goes to and like decides and like, launches stuff because everything seems to come out of there. Okay, awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's all the questions I had today, Janu. Is
Mhm.
there is there anything else that you would like our live audience or our listeners to know? Any
The only thing I can say is it's maybe a little bit corny, but the things I found out the last weeks is you should follow whatever you want to do, follow your heart. And I was scared to do it for a long time. And the last week gave me a lot of power and motivation and love from the people. And that made me like I'm very concrete about what I want to do now. And I'm very
Yeah.
sure about it. And I think everyone should do it.
That's amazing. And I don't think that's corny at all. I feel like it needs to be said time and time again. People tend to forget that, right? So
Yeah.
I love that reminder. That's amazing. Okay, that was our pod. That's it for today, folks. I'm going to stop recording so I can let you guys also have a fun Friday and also let Janu go back to his life. But thank you everyone for tuning in, and I hope you have an amazing day and weekend. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.